Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The playoffs begin in the Americas. Big results going down last night and major drama happening as well, with TenZ and Derke getting involved in some major criticism of Riot Games, especially the EMEA side. What they've done over there over the last couple of years with just not pleasing players, fans, or really anyone at all. Where do we go from here? And certainly in the Americas playoffs, where the Sentinels, Cloud9 and 100 Thieves go from here? Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into. First of all, we'll start with the EMEA. Just a couple of quick results. This was a big and frankly surprising one. Team Vitality, featuring Derke, of course, getting 2-0'd by Na'Vi. Now, this Na'Vi team, we know that Angel and those guys have been a force in Valorant for some time, but they didn't look very good this year. But still, I mean, for them to get the 2 win against Vitality, it's kind of crazy how it's worked out for Vitality so far, because they started the year so promisingly. And with this roster, there were all those questions. Well, you know, the super team on paper, but how's it going to go in reality? And it looked like super teams often go one of two ways. Either they win everything, or they certainly are as good as you expect, or they crash and burn. And they started out looking like they were going to be really, really solid. But as the season has transpired, obviously they made the change with Zyvoff coming in. It's not been so clear-cut at all. Now, look, they're still going to be in the playoffs, so on some level, it's just a little bit of a tester series for them, and what really matters is how they get onto the playoffs and whether they can make it to Masters Toronto, but it's certainly not clear-cut. And KLY, they got the 2-1 win against Gentlemates in the end, so bit of a disaster for Gentlemates again after lots of the, you know, the fan base they have and the potential that they sometimes show as an organisation, and after winning the first game, they then turn it around. Obviously, there was all that drama recently about the KOI team with Flyer and their coaching staff and all this, and maybe that will still transpire, but they did eventually get the win 13-6, 39 on the final couple of maps. That leaves us as follows. So Vitality, look, they're still 2-3. They still made it, but that loss puts them down to the losers bracket, right? Like, it's not a series that you really wanted to lose, because now their job is harder, for sure, going into the playoffs while they still made it. So I think for Vitality, the pressure now really is on safe to some great degree, right? Because, look, super team with an in-game leader, is he really a proper in-game leader, right? How's that going to go? Having difficult times against other teams with proper in-game leaders and more traditional structures. It's a story that we have seen before, and we will get here another group that goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because someone is going to win between the Heretics and Fnatic when they, of course, play it tonight, 7 p.m. my time. That game is going to become official. Now, let's talk about the drama in Europe, though, because Derke, of course, probably frustrated with their own performance, but still frustrated with the state of Riot and certainly VCT EMEA. So Derke mentioned yesterday the fact that there was that game that the players were playing on online server. They had like 30 ping in a LAN environment. And we then got a comment here from Daniel, who's head of Valorant Esports EMEA yesterday, and said the following: ahead of today's show, wanted to jump on and address the ongoing tech issues we've been facing. First and foremost, want to apologize to the fans. You basically deserve better, to the players, talent partners and everything. It's not good enough. To provide some transparency, have experienced recurring technical issues that have affected gameplay stability when matches are played offline with the Riot Games Arena in Berlin. Resolving this is a really complex challenge while we're in the middle of the regular season. The studio is being used every day. Difficult to take the systems offline and investigate thoroughly. This has meant that in order to continue matches without extended delays, we've had to temporarily switch to online servers, which has introduced new challenges, including ping-related issues leading to further technical pauses. At the end of the day, the why doesn't matter. What matters is that it's been very frustrating for the players, the casters, the co-streamers working on the show. Everyone cares deeply. We have a window between the end of the regular season and playoffs kicking off on the 8th of May, during which we'll be able to more deeply investigate the issue and try to come to a conclusion. So that's what they say. But Derke says, I don't really buy it. Most of these problems, though, are from years ago. Not gonna lie, it's really tiring to hear these apologies or texts that are giving hope while nothing is happening for years. And, you know, I do hear him on this, right? Because often they'll make a statement to say, hey, look, we hear the issue, we're working on it, you know, we're going to resolve it, here's the date, here's whatever is happening, right? It's almost the same thing with, I don't want to really compare it to the replay system, but they're like, oh no, here's it's coming soon, right? The replay system's coming soon. Does it ever arrive? I mean, it certainly hasn't arrived yet. I know they've got their problems they're working on, but there's obviously other things in play. So Derke says, yeah, people have talked about this for years and it's never been resolved. Let's invest maybe into better equipment and not save it just because because it runs League of Legends really well. Please do what players have been asking for years, and maybe a lot of these issues would resolve. It's really disgusting to see other regions having better conditions too. Right now, you guys are only moving backwards. So, look, as much as Vitality not playing good Valorant, totally understand that many of the players have deep frustrations, and there is a feeling, really, that comparing, let's say, other regions to Europe, it's a very, very different story. He did reply, Daniel, and said, look, totally fair, understand the frustrations, we're planning some overhauls, but it won't happen until later on. So, Derke would say it's more of the same, right? We're getting apologies, giving hope, but nothing's actually happening. And I saw this tweet as well saying that in the Chinese region, it's fire, right? Like, the organizer constantly upgrades the venue, constantly upgrades the PCs during the stage, barely any tech issues at all. So, kind of confusing because it's all Riot Games, but the different regions seem to be performing very differently indeed. So Derke then said, you know what, screw this, I'm just going to give out all my perspectives on it, and says, really long tweet, sorry about that, but I'm really disappointed about the issues in our region so far, as people could have already seen from my previous reply. A lot of the issues we're dealing with now have been ongoing since the beginning of franchising. In the first year or two, we raised concerns, we were told to be patient, now it's year 3, nothing's improving. The gear we're playing on could be a lot better, hardware monitor issues. We've been giving feedback on the monitors for ages, honestly don't even know what the reasoning is anymore, because every time we bring it up, we're given a different answer on the fact that the monitors aren't good enough. The PCs aren't optimized, the settings change constantly, most take pauses are due to the game stuttering so badly, right, because the problems are with the PCs. IT checks it, if they see it or not, we just keep playing, they never fix it anyway. This week we were told to be playing online on stage with 30 ping, I get 7 ping at home, to combat performance issues and take pauses. That's not going to solve anything if the core issue, the hardware, is not fixed. Everyone, LAN or online, is still experiencing the stutters. It's honestly shocking to see every other region with superior PCs and monitors, whilst in EMEA we're stuck with the setups from League of Legends. And when we bring up performance issues, the answer is, but League of Legends doesn't have this problem, which of course completely goes around the whole point. And then of course the talk about the crowd. They removed the crowd for the Wednesday games. Riot has their reasons. We weren't told ahead of time. We found out the same day that the fans did. Feel bad for the rookies making their debut with no crowd. Worse for the fans who have travelled to see a certain team and then can't even see them because they're playing without a crowd. Issues are unsolved. Tired of hearing we'll look into it, we'll fix it soon. We've raised these concerns every split, every year, hoping for progress. Truly hope now with everyone aware of these issues, real improvements can finally happen. They're making like a player council that they're currently spinning up, so hopefully more of these things can be heard. But it's very interesting, right? I mean, it's a problem that clearly these players have had for years now, and now Derke is deciding, you know what, screw this, nothing's going to change unless I make it be known publicly. So that's exactly what he's going to do. And I mean, even Chet says, I thought it was kind of funny, right? Because kind of the argument here from Derke is like that they don't seem to have the money or the willingness to do some of these things. And Chet goes, they've got plenty of money though to fly out influencers to the events. And Vanity's like, bro's trying to get bad. Whatever happens, happens. So yeah, Chet's certainly making his point on where he thinks the resources go and should potentially be aligned. Even Angel mentions it and says, core problem is us sharing the arena with LoL. No time to change monitors between leagues. We have to play Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, which doesn't help to gather a crowd. Late nights, which 50% of the time are at 1 AM. I don't understand why it's so late in Europe as well. I actually just don't get that. They often like clash with Americas, which doesn't really make any sense to me. So, Derke says they want someone to switch the monitors out and they've got my number. I could do it, but the sharing arena part is definitely true. And this is then when TenZ comes into the discussion as well and says, one of the most disappointing things about making it to tier 1 is realizing the best players and teams aren't always given the best conditions to perform at their highest potential. What's most disheartening isn't that it happened once, it's that it's been a recurring issue since the inception of the VCT. It's absolutely unacceptable that we're still facing the same problems after all of this time, despite players constantly raising these concerns with seemingly no resolution. This is the crazy bit to me. Not crazy, acceptable and understandable, but like unfortunate, right? This was definitely one of the biggest contributing factors that led to my decision to hang up the mouse. I've been hearing horror stories about the EMEA League for some time now. What's even the point of franchising and hosting matches on LAN if they're going to be played on online servers? It's unreal. Riot needs to do better. But the idea that TenZ is publicly coming out and saying, look, there are other factors, of course, that contributed to his decision to retire. But one of the biggest contributing factors was the frustrations with the way that Riot are running the VCT and the lack of resolution, or, they were told to be patient and nothing would ever change. And, we know that TenZ talked a lot about the monitors and the quality of the PCs and the issues with stuttering and all these other things that the players were experiencing. And TenZ says, yeah, that was, even in the Americas, a key reason why he decided to retire, which is never a good look for the league when problems in the league itself are contributing to the biggest player in the sport hanging up the mouse. So, yeah, I thought that was really rather telling, and now everything is out here publicly. There will certainly be more pressure to resolve the situation and, let's say, divert the resources in a different way. Two big matches in the Americas. MIBR played 100T, and this, to be honest, wasn't that much of a surprise. MIBR got the job done. Verno, Aspas, absolutely killing it. And frankly, this was a demolition job on the Game 2 Icebox. Split was 100T's pick. That was a 13-10. And the Icebox, they had no idea what they were doing. Xander, Booster, and Asuna combines for 18 kills. Aspas alone had 24. So, complete nightmare. 100T, they've bombed it down to the losers bracket. And I don't know, man, it's just tough, isn't it? This 100T roster, whenever push comes to shove, they always find a way to lose. Boostio says, O2 versus MIBR, at least I get the chance to make FNS retire. And obviously FNS is in the replies as well, saying, oh no, we'll see how that one goes. But it is true, they're going to play each other in the losers bracket. That's going to be a mega game, as people are saying. It's going to be Valorant's first 4v4 with FNS and Boostio, not with the best numbers this stage. The big game for Sen was their Cloud9 series. They got the job done here 2-0, and look, it's a classic Cloud9 moment. They make it to the playoffs, they turn up to the playoffs, and they get slapped. This is what they do. This is Cloud9 heritage. And but look, fair play to Sentinels. People were saying that they were like Cloud9 to 13 because both maps they lost 9 to 13. The Pearl was a bit of a strange one. Teams went on definitely different streaks of winning rounds here. But this is a great performance from Bang across certainly the Pearl. He was really impressive on the Astra. Zekken is always having his great moments, but I think it's especially difficult for 100T because Bang has not only left their team, and Xan had a stinky one yesterday, but also Bang goes on to have a great series for Sentinels here to take down the Cloud9 guys. So yeah, Cloud9 dropped down to the losers bracket. This was a nice little 1v2 here from Zekken as well. Gets the first, gets the second, onto Zeppa, diffuses the spike, and that puts themselves at a nice little advantage there. So Sen get the win. It's certainly not getting any easier for them, but they at least do advance to a position where one single series win will get the job done to make them, certainly if they beat G2, that's going to be enough. They drop down to losers, it's still more challenging. They'll have to win a couple of series from there, but they are only one series away, Sentinels, from making it to Masters Toronto. Zekken says, played solid today, felt unreal today. We'll continue to try and be the best version of ourselves. And John QT says, brick by brick, we keep on moving, right? So, it was Zell says, of course, waving goodbye. Sassy was tweeted about it, thought that was rather entertaining. This is the way that the bracket currently looks. MIBR took down 100T. They will play Crew. The winner of that goes to Toronto. Sentinels beat Cloud9. They will now play G2. The winner of that goes to Toronto. So those games happen in a couple of days' time. Today are the big elimination games. C9EG, 100T NRG is like, 100T NRG. It got loses round one. Doesn't get much more spicy than that because whoever loses there, man, surely they have to do something. C9, maybe they can make a bit of a run, but for these teams, it's going to take 1, 2, 3 series victories to make it. The lower final teams make it. The upper final teams make it. And that's pretty much where it's going to be. So if you want to Twitter your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below, hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.